Hey everyone, Merl here. I have just finished decapping some injectors. Got a lot of interesting information to go over, but the whole point of this video is to actually take the data that we figured out with testing the injectors and enter it into the laptop. Let's make this truck run. All right, I have taken a whole whack of injectors and these are the injectors that I've been testing. So I have 3 sets of them. They came in trucks. If you check out the other videos on the injector decapping and all the other videos I have related to this, you'll be able to see the details of what we had. Now, in here, I have a set that was in my 4.8 07, a set that was in 07 6 liter, and a set that was in an intake that I got, and it was off the 2001 6 liter. All the injectors are the same numbers. The data online isn't the same, but I'm going to show you how to figure out the data in the ECU. And we'll look at the data here because we ended up with some crap. Usually people need 2 sets of injectors to get a good set. That was the case here. But if you get a bad set, you're going to be in a world of hurt. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is the injector data that I got out of the 4.8. I ran it all through the tester. You can look at those videos. This is pre-clean, post-clean, idle, medium, high, decap numbers. Now, I cleaned these again after I decapped them. So I ended up using these 92s from here, this 92 from the second set, and this 92 from the second set as well. But if we look, this set of injectors was from the junkyard. Well, I mean, it's out for who knows how long. And some of the injectors, well, if you look at the data in them, they have some really odd numbers here. And if we compare it to the other injectors, not so nice numbers. Now, when I first started doing them, this, and this injector were dead. I threw them in the cleaner. They started making noise, and I collected the rest of the data, cleaned them up. But man, we don't even have one injector out of this bunch that we can use. I have done some testing, and I'm going to do some more testing, put a video out on that, of chemicals that I am running through to try and bring these back, because you know what? These ones are junk, so I may as well test with them. If we open the tune up here and we look at the tune, what we want to do is go into fuel, and we want to go in general, and then we're going to be looking at the injectors. Now, each one of these, don't worry about this one at all. This one right here, flow rate versus KPA, is the one that we're going to be looking at. This is what we need to change. And if you look here, this scale definitely is changing as we go up with the manifold vacuum. So this is a non-return style fuel system. So we'll open one with a return style and show you the difference. In this one here, we need to change the whole table, not the same, but it so happens that this is a linear scale and it's going to work out really well for us. Now, if we take a look here and we look at the flow rate multiplier versus volts, this is just a multiplier. So in the newer computers, you actually use this table to fool the computer to think that you have different size injectors, because in the newer Gen 4 stuff, you can exceed the rates of the injectors, but this is just timesing that by 1, so no big deal. Now, we end up with the with this one right here, minimum pulse width. If we end up putting too big an injector in, this is mainly what we're doing, but if we go with too big of an injector, we might have to lower this a little bit to get it to pulse low enough that it'll idle. So anyway, then if we look at the rest of this stuff here, and we look at our offset volts. We didn't change anything in this. All we've done is change the flow of the injector. So all we need to deal with is this flow rate. The minimum pulse width, all this kind of stuff, nothing else has changed, just the flow. So in an injector, the reason that we need data in the injector is when this injector is fired. So this is a little solenoid in here, and it lifts a little ball off of there. When this injector is fired, first we get a current that goes into it. It has to charge the coil. Once the coil's charged, that energy is built up. So we have time spent here. Once that's charged up, it tries to move the pintle. Well, it takes some force to move the pintle, more time. Then once the pintle moves, now we have fuel flowing. So that's what all the rest of this stuff is for. So all we need to worry about is if it doesn't idle, we might have to lower that number, and we will have to put some more accurate numbers in here. Now, if we're looking at this, and you look, this is our flow rate at no vacuum, 24.5. So these are 24.5 pound injectors. I'm going to open another tune here. The last tune I had open was an 07 4.8, same injectors. So that has no return line going to the fuel tank. So this looks exactly the same. And guess what? Even though if you look online, it says that they're different flow rate, same number. Well, in the ECU, this is where you find your flow rate. Okay, this is a 2001 6 liter. So LQ4, same injector number. And look at that, 25.2. Okay, so it shows a different number. When we look at the data, when we decap these injectors or test these injectors, they flow the same across the board. So I don't know why there's a difference. That'd be interesting. If anyone knows why they rate the injectors different, it'd be great to understand why. Now, if we look at this, the number is the same all the way across. And the reason why is we have a fuel pressure regulator that is regulating the fuel pressure to be even across the entire manifold vacuum scale. So in this one, you figure out one number and you have the rest figured out. And realistically, when we get to the other ones, you'll find out that all we need to do is one number as well. Okay, we're going to do some workbench math here. We even got a handy dandy calculator here, but what we're going to look at is the main thing when we do this injector testing is we want to see how even the data is. Now these numbers here, the ones that I am average them out roughly 47, but in the tester, I want to make sure that my numbers are straight across. That's the most important thing, and they are. These injectors, after being cleaned multiple times, especially after decapping, they ended up really even. So we'll get back to the math here. So the low numbers, well, you can see the graduated cylinder is not real accurate for measuring this. So, but we'll just represent the beginning number of how these were flowing after they were cleaned. And that's 100%. That's the number in the ECU. And after decapping them, cleaning them, they jumped to 15. Then this is the idle speed. Now under mid speed, we ended up with 22. That is the number represented in the ECU, and we jumped up to 40. And then the last number that we have is we went from roughly 47 and we went up to 92. Well, that sucks because it doesn't fit. Okay, there we go. Now I feel better. Hopefully the camera doesn't fall over. Okay, so what we're going to want to do with these is we're going to want to cross multiply and divide. So we have with this 15 times 100 divided by 8. Well, that's 1500 divided by 8 equals, oh, that number didn't work out. 1500 divided by 8 equals 187.5 probably the most inaccurate number on here. Then we end up with 4,000. So 4,000, because you cross multiply and divide, 4,000 divided by 22 equals, well, 181. Okay. And then this is the number that's going to be the most accurate for me. And that is, we're going to take 92 times 100, I guess that's pretty easy math, divided by 47. Okay, 195. So I re-averaged everything and it does come out to 191, which this number is probably the most accurate. So that's what we're going to enter into the computer, and I'll show you how to do that. So we are going to be multiplying that table. Okay, now that we have this table here, we are just going to go 1.9 multiply. Ta-da! I only did one square. That's a real mess up. You got to highlight the whole thing and multiply. And it changes your whole table for you. So we went from that 24 whatever, and we more than doubled the size of the injector, and now we are at 46.5. And then if this was the return style with the regulator on the fuel rail, 2 lines going back to the tank, this whole thing would be at 46.5. Now that we have it into the ECU, I'm going to download it in the truck and we'll see if it runs. All right, just so I mentioned, I'm using HP tuners here, and this is what I'm tuning with. So I have this saved, uploaded, ready to go. And I want to take, and the ignition's on. I am going to write this. And we will get that loaded in and see how it starts. It just finished downloading. We have our wideband in here, and if this data isn't right, well, we're going to notice it. It isn't going to want to idle. But guess what? The battery is dead. All right, well, that could have really sucked. Anyone, never happened to me, but has anyone had it where the battery died when they were doing it right? Because, man, I was close to having that happen. Anyways, if you wouldn't mind, leave in the comments. I have heard that they brick, but I don't know. So threw the charger on for a little while. Let's see if this goes now. Guess what? It's running. So I'm going to get back to dynoing. If I run into any problems with this, I'll finish the video and letting you know what went wrong. I promised if I had problems with these decapped injectors, I would let you know and finish the video this way. And yes, I did have problems with them. So I ended up having to go 20% bigger in the data. Now, I took the truck out for a drive. The thing works flawlessly. So 20% still didn't get me there. So normally what I'm doing is tuning something that someone's already done the decapping, and I haven't been able to see the difference. So this was very interesting. So I'll show you the computer in a second, that data, as well as the duty cycle. So the injectors, with me tuning, I had to not just go 20% bigger on the injectors, but I also had to tune the fuel curve. Now, 2 of the things that you're doing, well, it depends if you're using both, but things that you need to do, basically when you're tuning, you're scaling the sensors to actually read what comes out the exhaust. So on this, I had to retune my VE and my mass airflow sensor. Once I had that tuned, the rest of the tune that I had for power enrichment and everything all came in, and it worked perfectly. So because the small pulse widths and everything are fixed data, just the flow rate changed, that was the only thing that I had to correct. So, ooh, forgive me for that. I will show you the data on the computer and the duty cycle. So let's flip around and take a look at that. Okay, I got this data log here, and at 6199 RPM, well, I'm at 32% duty cycle. And if I keep screaming this up, I mean, it is still at 32% duty cycle. My fueling is keeping exactly where I want it. And it's crazy how this duty cycle is pretty much all there at 32%. Now, of course, we're getting an average of the duty cycle, but really these injectors, I mean, I can add a lot of boost to this. So who knows, maybe that'll happen one day. Anyways, if we look here at the, let's get it pulled up here at the fuel pump. So if I take a look, and I am at 60 PSI here for fuel pressure, and I can cycle through this. So the factory fuel pump in here is totally 100% acceptable. No issues with it. Anyway, so fueling worked out really good. We made like 380, 400 and some foot-pounds of torque. You can check out all the other videos on that. But in this one here, what I'm saying is my duty cycle and is way within range, and the tune is good. I'll just open that tune and we'll take a look at the injector size I have in there. Okay, here is the injector data that I have in. It's 20% bigger than what we calculated. We could probably, after doing the tune, it wasn't quite linear, calibrating sensors and stuff. This one here, we could have probably went even a little bit bigger numbers here. Now, I guess all I have to say is, you know what? I would do the decap thing again, even though I did notice some bank-to-bank fueling differences. I'll probably be playing with that a little bit more. And if there's any awe-inspiring thing, I'll do another video on that. But as for what we have with the decapped injectors, I'm really happy with how this turned out. I didn't spend a whole bunch of money, a lot of time invested in it, but that's just because I was trying to be particular with it. But if you think that I could have done something different, should have done something different, drop that in the comments. If you have any other questions, please drop those in the comments. And if you don't mind, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.